Let's take a look at the section tool. Sections are one of my favorite kind of views that we can create. They're really useful for slicing through the model in any location that you want to get a better understanding of how things are starting to come together. So they can be a great design tool, and of course you can use sections as a presentation tool as well. So let's create a few sections here in this model. I'm going to start off by getting a better look at this stairwell right here, and about halfway through the middle of the dining room, there's a balcony looking down into the dining area. So I want to create a section to give me a better understanding of that part of the design. So the section tool is here on the quick access toolbar, or you can also get to it on the view tab. So it's like drawing a line. You just pick 2 points to designate where you want the cut to occur. So I'm going to start the cut next to the stair to the left here, about in the middle of that short leg. Click, and then I'll start moving horizontally to the right and go all the way past the exterior wall of the building and click again for my second point. Now that will create the section line geometry here along those 2 points I clicked, but it will also create this dashed box which indicates the extents of the section. And it's got these little control handles on either side and here at the back. And notice that this one on the back here automatically sensed how deep the building was. So that's kind of a nice feature of the section tool, is that it will automatically react to the building geometry. And this is typically why we don't see any sections in template files, because template files don't contain any geometry. So there really wouldn't be any useful way to put a starter section in the template because we don't know where the building geometry is ultimately going to be. Now, there's a couple ways we can open the section, and one way is to right-click on it and choose the Go to View option. When I do that, it will open the section view and open it up in its own tab right here. Now, another way that we could open it would be to scroll down here on the project browser and notice that I now have a new sections branch, and if I expand that, you'll see section 1 in bold indented beneath it. Now, section 1 is the default name that it gives it, and I highly recommend that you get in the habit of always renaming these views as you create them. Because when I create this view, I have a pretty good idea of why I was creating it, and so I can use a more descriptive name. So I'm going to right-click that and choose Rename, and change this to Section at Balcony. Now, it doesn't really matter what you call it, as long as it's something a little more descriptive than Section 1, which doesn't really tell me very much about what I would expect to see there. Now, I'm going to put my mouse kind of right about where the stair is and kind of roll in a little bit to zoom into that area. And what I want to do now is, here's that floor element that represents the balcony up above. And I want to measure the distance between that floor and the landing just to make sure I have enough headroom clearance. Now, I can do that with the standard aligned dimension tool. So the aligned dimension tool can be used in any view. It's not just for floor plans. So I'm going to choose that tool. I'll pick the top surface of the stair landing as my first witness line, and then the underside of the floor as my second witness line. And then remember, to place a dimension, you need to click an empty white space. So I'll just click anywhere there, click my modify tool to cancel. And as you can see, I have plenty of headroom clearance here at 11 feet. If I didn't, I could make adjustments to the floor, I could make adjustments to the stair, or perhaps even both elements. But that's one way that you could use a section to kind of check out how the design is progressing and decide whether or not any modifications need to be made. Now, I'm going to use the X right here on this tab to close that section view, and let's create a second one. Now, for this one, I want to focus on the dining room a little bit, so I'm going to hold the wheel and pan slightly, roll it to zoom in a little bit, and let me go back to my section tool. And this time I'm going to start down here below the windows, click my first point, pull it straight up past the stairs, and click again. Now, notice that the 2 points you click also determine which way the section is pointing. So because I started down and went up, it's actually looking to the left. Had I started at the top and looked down, it would have gone to the right. Now, before you delete the section or undo and start again, notice that there's actually a small flip control right here, and you can easily flip the direction of the section to make it point the other way. So even if you don't think about which 2 points you click, it's very easy to make that adjustment. Now, I cut through all these booths and tables over here, and if we right-click on this section again and choose Go to View and zoom in, you can see I'm looking at all of the dining room furniture, but notice it looks blank back here. So if I go back to the level 1 floor plan, the reason for that is when I created the section and it was looking the other way, it sensed the back of the geometry here and set the depth accordingly. But now that I've flipped it in the other direction, it's not deep enough. So all I have to do is take this little grip control and stretch that back. And now it will see this wall beyond. And if we click over here, you can see that curtain wall off in the distance. So with a little strategy, you can kind of plan for that. But even if you change your mind later, it's very easy to make adjustments to the section and its extents. In fact, you could decide that even though it was useful to see the dining room, it might be more useful to actually see what's going on with the stair. So I can literally take this section, click and hold down, and drag it to an entirely new location. And so now that section is cutting through the stair instead of the booths. And when I click back over here on the Section 1 tab, you can see that it's showing me something entirely different. Now, if we look at the project browser, you can see that it's called Section 1 again. So let's rename that. And this time I'll call it Section at Stair. And then I notice here that I have a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to zoom in right here, and my floor kind of stops at the face of this wall, and there's really no means of support for that wall right there. Easily fixed, and I can actually initiate the change right here in the section view. So I'm going to select the floor element and click the Edit Boundary command here on the ribbon. Now, floors can't be edited from section, so Revit will prompt me to open up a floor plan instead. So I'll do the level 2 floor plan, click Open View, and then the area in question is right here. So let me put my mouse there and just roll the wheel to zoom in a little. And these sketch lines need to move to the other sides of the walls. I can easily do that with the Align tool. So I'll go to Align and highlight the face of the wall. So notice that it's giving me the center line here. So I'll just move over to the outside face of the wall, press my Tab key. That will highlight that outside face. I'll click. Then I'll click the sketch line and it will move over. Let me repeat in this direction. Move to the outside face, Tab, click, and then click again on the sketch line. And to finish the modification, I'll click the green checkbox right here. And it's going to ask me if I want to do something with the walls related to this floor. I'm going to say no for that. And then I'll just close the level 2 floor plan. But what I want you to see is that our floor now correctly goes underneath that wall. So sections are a wonderful tool for you to be able to start studying the results of your modeling efforts. You can use them as a querying tool, as a QA tool, and of course they can become a documentation tool. So I could take these sections and include them with my document set.